Hello and welcome back to Financial Freedom for the Average Person. I am Oba Vincent, and this is chapter 5 of the book, Income and Investing. And this will be one of a couple of lectures I'll have on investing. And first, let's talk about income. And by the way, I just got done working out back here in Utah, beautiful state, and ready to get into investing on a nice Saturday morning. Anyway, let's talk about your income. One of the most amazing things out there are defined pension plans. There's very few of them left. Mostly they're government positions. They tend not to pay as much as in the private sector. But I will say, if you get the opportunity, Guard, reserves, I really push for that. That having that one stable thing going into the future really can add a lot to your retirement, make your retirement planning a lot easier. But anyway, most of you aren't going to have that. One of the things that most of you will have, though, will be some kind of employee or retirement plan. Back when I was growing up, most people worked for factories or companies that all had defined retirement plans, and everybody retired at 55. Now everybody targets retiring at 65. Again, Medicare is the big thing in healthcare, but also at that point you're collecting Social Security, so you have a pillar, one of many pillars you need to stand on as you're going to retirement. But critical, you have a retirement plan from your employer, you want to maximize. Get every penny they're going to give you. Ideally, you're going to put in more than that, but at least get there. And so many people I counseled over the years, that they're making ends meet, and they're like, I don't have any money to put to that. And my answer to that was to each of them, just look, you're going to get a raise here in a few months. Take half of it. Just put half of it toward it. Put half of every time you get a raise toward it. You'll be shocked how quickly that will build up. You're still getting a raise, you're still bringing money home, but you're paying yourself first, and that's critical. Side hustles, starting your own business. Um, Find something you love. If you can make some money at it, and you want to do it on the side, you can do it as a hobby. I'll say my side hustles really are my hobbies, and those are things I enjoy doing, so it makes it easier. Then I will say, in a lot of the people I know now jump employer to employer, my kids included. Okay, and there are some advantages to that, but make sure it's a damn good advantage to you for doing it. I know a lot of people left the government, went to the private sector, they made a little bit more money, but they get toward retirement and they don't have much to go on. It's tough if you just got a 401k. And if you stay with one company, you might be able to build that up a little bit quicker. I'm not saying that the company you're with is perfect. I haven't worked for a perfect company or a perfect government, but the place you're going to go is not necessarily going to be perfect either. So think long and hard before you make a transition. So you'll notice I really don't talk a lot about income and how to maximize, asking for raises, things of that nature. There's lots of videos out there that do that. My assumption is you have an income, maximize it, increase it, and ways to do it. And one of the main things that you need to think about is investing. You're going to be putting money back aside, and you need to make that money grow. Okay. Now I'll tell right off the bat, this is not a full-fledged investing course. There's entire books and curriculums on investing. I'm going to give you some ideas. I'm going to explain what I do, uh, be it good or bad. Okay. And the one guy I do follow is I follow Phil Town. Rule number one. Rule number one is never lose money. I'm not very good at rule number one. I lose plenty of money, but he really gives some good basics, and it's a good storyline, and I highly recommend everybody give him a shot. Whether you follow him or not, listen to him a little bit. So, and I will be some of the things that I do fall right in with things that he preaches as well. So, I first if you're going to get into investing, you're going to need to invest with a company, a brokerage firm. And there's tons of them out there right now. And I've just listed a few of them here. Anymore, you can trade without fees and you do everything online. You can even use AI to help you pick what you want to invest in. I think that's a great idea. And one of the things I will say, if you pick a company, a brokerage firm, and we'll do this later, and we get into some of our exercises, make sure that it's one, you're not going to pay anything. They're going to pay you dividends or interest, excuse me, on the money you have sitting there. And ideally, they're going to pay you to open an account. Those are the things that you're looking for. Then, when you're beginning, I highly recommend you start out with index funds or exchange traded funds, ETFs. I listed a couple of them here. These trade like stocks. They're easy to trade and they mirror either the S&P 500 or the biggest companies in the world, and you can pick different ones. Here's two of the most famous ones is QQQ and VOO. And again, low fees. You're going to get good exposure. If the stock market's going up, you're going to make money. If the stock market goes down, you're going to lose money. But for having you starting out, that's a good place to begin to invest and learn. Okay. Now, some of the things on stocks, and I invest heavily in stocks, but you got to invest in companies that you know and understand and that you like. Okay. And a little bit about just shares. And you're going to buy shares. Usually, I like to trade in lots. Anymore, you can even trade in fractions of shares. And some companies, the stock is so high, over $1,000 a share, you might just be buying, tenths of a share at a time, and that's all fine. But each share is actually a portion of that company, and it comes with rights. To vote once a year when they have the shareholders meetings to actually participate in the company as much as you want to. Okay. Trading is fairly complex, but it's easy to learn. The companies are very, very simple. Don't be scared of it. It's just something to learn. And if you're a little bit scared, do get some ideas and then, ask the AI. Ask Claude, hey, what do you think what I'm doing? And and actually, I'll tell you, there's a whole lot of experts right now that are just using the AI to come up with stocks. Personally, I like stocks that pay dividends. And, my 401, when I was growing my 401, I invested it heavily. Uh, Sometimes it went down dramatically. 2007, 2008, my 401k became a 201k really quick. And what the answer is you put more money in at that point. When the stocks are down, that's when you're investing. And so many people just pull their money out after they had taken loss, so they missed the entire upswing. And that's good. Options. Options are a lot like going to the racetrack. Okay, you're making bets, and you can do it smartly, but be careful. It's easy to fall in. A great story with me was 9/11. I happened to be on a cruise ship during 9/11, and I was leveraged heavily. And in just a few weeks, I lost $500,000. Just that easy. I got it back, okay, but it was very, very stressful. So they're there, but just be careful with them. And start slowly. Take your time learning. It's not hard. It's actually, in my mind, I think it's quite fun, and you can be right up there with the big boys. Okay, so how do we get started? And this is my approach for beginners, right? Kind of what I did. First, create an account on Yahoo Finance. Yahoo used to be like the biggest company in the world. Now nobody does anything on Yahoo except everybody has an account on Yahoo Finance. It's easy to do. There's no charge, and you can create an account, throw some stocks in there. You can track the stocks, okay, and uh, pick some companies that you know. Those are the best things. Where do you shop? Where do you eat? Who do you work for? Uh, who's in your town? Who does your friends work for? Companies like that. Because what you're going to do is you're going to put some companies in, and you're going to find out if those are in some time. Take some time, but you will find out if those are going to be good companies or not for you to invest in the long term. Research, and then again, looking for earnings growth, looking for dividends. Refer to Phil Town, the rule number one investing. He'll go through a lot of details on how to pick the companies. And again, I would go back, throw it into the AI when you get ready to invest, see if it's a good time to be investing into it. Then open a brokerage account. Refer to Doctor of Credit for recommendations and the current offers. Make sure any uninvested cash that you throw in is earning interest. Like right now, E-Trade, just did this last month, had, if you put in, I think it was minimum of 20,000. Okay. A lot of you aren't going to have 20 grand, but for 20 grand, I could throw it in and get $400 cash, and I'm locked in to get 4% interest for the next 6 months. So I had some cash laying around, just threw it in there. Actually, I pulled it out of Robinhood because they upset me, and so I took 30,000 out of Robinhood, threw it over to E-Trade, grabbed $400, and then I let it earn interest, and I'll decide what I'm gonna do with that 30,000 later. Okay. And then go ahead and buy your first stock. Look, you can buy stock if you've got $100, you get $1,000, $1,000,000. Any amount you can buy. But I would say buy your first one and buy an ETF. You're just learning. Grab ETF. I threw another one up in here, the SPY, which is on the tech side. But anyway, buy an ETF, throw $100 into it, and now you're in the stock market and you can see how it's going up and down. Okay, you're just learning. And then you want to track your stocks weekly at the beginning. A lot of people only do it monthly, and maybe later, maybe want to go more frequently. I track them every day, but it's my hobby. It's what I like to play. It's a game. Okay. So just give you an idea here. I went to Dr. Credit, and one of the links there was the best brokerage bonuses. And this is for this month. And you can look down here. There's a few of these, like the number one up there. I've never even heard of Trade Up. But after pulling this paper up, I'm gonna go take a look at it because I might be able to do something and get some money. I also really like it when I invest some money, get some cash, and also maybe get a few stocks. Usually those shares are just, you know, not worth a lot, but it's still kind of fun. So, but you can see the list here, and this isn't all of it. The list goes on and on and on. One of them on here I'm going to point out, SoFi. SoFi's got a lot of nice bonuses for high yield savings and for brokerage. So not a bad one to look at. But uh, all of these, the money that you're going to invest with them is going to be insured. It's not insured when you buy a stock. The stock can go up and down. That money's not insured, or it could go bankrupt. But any cash you have sitting there is insured. All right. So here's how my approach. Okay, and this is in the book, and I'll stay right up. My approach is risky. Phil Town doesn't like my approach. Okay, I shared my book with him. I didn't get any comments back. It's just other than all thanks. But anyway, my IRA and 401ks, when they were with a company, and when I say IRA, I have opened that for my wife Rita, okay, and I invested in it, and I didn't have access to Roth when I started. If you have access, all of you have access to Roth IRAs, those are the greatest things. You're putting the money in after you've paid tax on it, so you don't get a tax deferral to begin. But when you're going into retirement, you can pull that money out and the earnings out, and it is tax free. So that is really positive looking into the future. Okay. So when I invested, I use the accounts based on my age and years to retirement. Usually there'll be, like, if you're 30, it'll say fund Y or whatever, and it's a mix of different funds. I work for the government, so I didn't have a lot of funds I could choose from. You either can invest in the S&P 500, or you can invest in international stocks, or there was bonds, or there was a mix. So the closer you get to retirement, the more conservative they want to push you. After retirement, I was able to take the money out and move it into a self-directed account. And then I went into a few companies, which is, that's what you're also going to get with rule number one. You're probably, instead of diversifying, you're just going to invest in a few valuable companies. I went with dividend companies that were depressed and were giving a nice uh, dividend. And then what I did is I just kept the stock, and the dividends are growing, and as the dividend grows, you assume the stock long term will go up. No guarantees in that. And in my case, two of the three went up, one went down, but that was okay. One of them went up a lot. And I was able to immediately start taking. I was starting to pull 30,000 a year out of my retirement account. I did that when I retired at 54. Um, Now I'm taking 40,000 out a year out of that account, and the value of that account has went from 640 to almost 900,000. So by controlling it myself. So I'm 12 years into retirement. I've taken out 360,000, and I actually have several hundred thousand more in it than when I started, which is a good place to be. Right. So that is one of our pillars that we stand. For Riva's uh, IRA, I invested that aggressively. Okay, and I hit a couple of nice things on that, and I grew it from uh, I think total I put in was about 30 or 40,000 over the years, and I grew that fairly quickly up to 300,000. And now I moved it into the dividend stocks, and it pays her, uh, you know, 15,000 or something like that a year, and for her money coming out of that. So again, it's kind of the strategy. You invest, you get the retirement going, and then you turn it into something that is going to be able to pay you into the future to add on to your retirements. So, so that was the bulk. Now that was my retirement account. So then I'm also investing, you know, 1,000. Actually, at some point I was getting to the point where I was putting back a couple thousand a month, and putting them into investments. And then for those, I was investing them in companies that, again, using the rule number one requirements, trying to come up with the best, companies that would grow long term, and buy them at the right price. And that worked okay. You know, but then I also took a small portion of my investable cash and went with companies that I saw short-term potential. And usually I was playing the options market there. Okay, and for a little while I was making a lot of money in the options market, and then I lost a whole bunch of it real quick. But it it was a lot of fun when you're making money. It's no fun when you're losing it. But anyway, but I would put that money in and build that up. Then lastly, I take a small portion of my investable cash and I look at up and coming opportunities. And a company like right now, SpaceX. Who knows what SpaceX is going to do? But or years ago, Facebook, Nvidia. Um, One of the ones, and actually that I screened when I was with Phil Town at one of his courses, was Micron, and I invested in Micron, and I made the pitch. To me, it was the perfect company. Phil did not like it, okay, because it didn't fit his model, which is fair. He only invests in things that he understands. So, he understands, Nike, and understands, things that are more Uh, yeah, right up in front, where Micron making chips and things. But anyway, I invested in it at 30. Okay, I got out at 40 or 45, and so I made a very nice profit. That was 7 years ago. Okay, I was looking just last month, and Micron was at $1,030. So, it's one of those, if I had just held my gut, just and kind of followed it, I believed in the company, I should grab it and should have held it. Um, Instead of making 15,000, I could have made 1 million. Okay, but one of the things I like to say, if I could, I'm a pretty smart guy, but I can't look even 5 minutes into the future. If I could, just that 5 minutes, I would be able to figure all this out. But that's the nature of it. But anyway, so that's the bottom line. That's how I invest. That's how I build, the stools on the leg, for retirement. Bottom line, maximize your income and ensure you get all that employer's contribution. Number one thing. Um, Take half of each of your raise and put it toward your goals. Very, very important. And then learn how to invest in the stock market and then use it as a tool to help you meet your goals. Go slow, learn lots of ways to get help out there. And like I said, I'm kind of enjoying the AI, because even if I'm not going to necessarily follow the AI, if I have got an idea, I'm going to ask Claude. Claude, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? And let it give me the tech readout on it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and we'll be back with the exercise where we're actually getting into more detail on actually how you buy stocks.